What up? What up? What up?
Listen, what is up? We back, man.
We
Another
doing it.
episode.
Hey.
Welcome, everybody. This is the ADHD show driven show. It's called Black Girls HyperFocus. And we are your hosts. I'm Tara G. Noire, and this is my girl. Oh, wrong way. Let me do
Hey.
that.
Look, the mirroring is hard. I'm
Listen,
gonna let you know right
right.
now.
I'm
The
over here
mirroring is
confused. Like, what is going on here?
the
Got me
mirroring
all
is hard.
backwards.
That's okay.
All
Ooh,
good.
yeah.
Matter of fact, let me see if I can drop this volume on this one though, because I don't want it to.
So if you
Oh,
did,
no, I want y'all to hear me, but
so if you guys don't know, we're going live also on IG, so you can kind of get the
yes,
behind the scenes of us going live. But if you're watching us right now, you're watching us on Facebook. You're watching us on my Twitter account, honestly, uh,
hey,
and
Twitter
Twitch.
and Twitch,
And Twitch. Let me add that in
we
there.
everywhere. Come on,
Yes.
getting
Mhm.
hype.
Yes. Speaking of getting hype though, my friends, if y'all want to get part of the hype crew, join us on our Facebook group.
Yes, we actually have a private group.
Mm-hmm.
We are. I don't know why I decided to bite this apple and talk to y'all, but that
Mm-hmm.
happened. So y'all forgive me in this ratchetness today, but we're gonna make it.
Okay.
Listen,
Okay.
we got a private group. You
Mm-hmm.
need to come on, check us out. And we actually are trying to figure out what we want to call it too, because we really don't know. I mean, it's y'all's group.
Mm-hmm.
Do y'all want to be called the hype crew, or do you want to be called the fidget family? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? What you feeling like? You could actually, if you have thoughts on that, drop that in the comments, because we could definitely just get an idea of like generally, which way you leaning.
Right.
So
Personally for me, my suggestion is the hype family, or hype crew.
hype
Um,
crew.
yeah,
I'm
hype
about
crew.
to say you just combined the two. Look.
Look, see, look.
Making new things. Okay.
Right, right. So I'm one of your hosts, Rickey Z. I am a teacher, podcaster, podcast manager. Um, I do too much. I'm doing the most with the least, honestly.
Listen, we
Um,
trying.
the
We
least
out here
amount of
making it.
dopamine possible.
Right. Just a
But
shred.
just a shred of
Just a
dopamine, y'all.
shred of dopamine.
Look, but my neurodiversities are I have ADHD, I have anxiety and generalized depression. I was diagnosed with ADHD when I turned 30, right before like the big kick of the pandemic.
Listen,
So
that part. Well,
so luckily with that, like I could do all the things at home that I wanted to. But yeah, I'm a mom of two. I have a 6-year-old and a 9-year-old, and
yes.
like I said, I'm a teacher. I teach pre-K special education,
Nice. Nice.
and
Yeah.
I am on summer vacation, y'all.
So that's why she got lipstick on today. You over here fancy boots. I was like, oh,
I'm out in these. I'm not really in these streets, but I'm just saying
listen,
the streets are
listen,
calling my name.
you out here in these streets more than
Uh,
me. I did manage to make it to the pool today, so
look,
that was
that's
alright. But
okay. You
yeah,
did
I don't
it.
be out here like
I
that. I got
mean,
things to do. But I'm trying to get better about that, because we can hyper focus sometimes to a detriment. Y'all
mhm.
know what I'm talking about. I ain't calling out no names, nothing. But I'm just saying, if it is you, just say ouch. When it hit, just say ouch. I say
Holla.
ouch. I accept it.
I'm
So
gonna holla.
I'm learning. So my name is Tara G, also known as Tara G Noire. I am a podcast creator and an advocate for neurodivergent minds. I'm creating a podcast, and it's supposed to be released on the 1-year anniversary of my diagnosis. It is going to be called ADHD in Black. And it's really just about sharing my journey to diagnosis, my self-realization as a neurodivergent mind, and kind of coming into myself. And hopefully it will help others to understand ADHD through a Black perspective, or through a Black lens. So
Mhm.
that's largely going to be the goal there. And my neurodiversities, I was diagnosed last year October with ADHD, anxiety, and depression. I also was diagnosed when I was 32 years old. So I wasn't no spring chicken or nothing, but whatever. It's all good. Better late than never.
Right.
Okay, better late than
Absolutely.
never. Keep that in mind. And what makes me a dopamine fueled Black girl is I'm a thinker, I'm a lover of knowledge and truth. And I feel like, coming from an ancestry of like brutally enslaved people who genuinely were not supposed to like I'm not supposed to be here. I'm basically, me and Rickey Z were not supposed to be here because we supposed to have been distinguished. But because we have persisted, I think that that is something that is to be proud of. And I
Mhm.
know we're not the only ones. So shout out to all our sisters out there and our brothers too, in the struggle. We out here trying to get it. Listen, I
Right.
get it. So
So this is a live stream. So meaning we are recording this right now.
yes.
We will be able to get the recording later on YouTube on our YouTube channel. So always check that if you miss it. So it's not just to let y'all know. Just to let y'all know. This is not intended for the littles. Not intended for the babies. We are both mothers.
True.
And so some
Yes.
things sometimes the things are not for the children.
Amen.
That's hard to
Amen.
that's hard to remember as a mom. Like not everything is for the children.
You know, I I don't know. I'm a little liberal, so I'm different. I feel like I teach my kids to use language properly. So for
Not not
me,
not
it's
like
just
that. I
like
mean
don't
like
cuss me out,
right.
obviously. But
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, but I mean
um,
like not everything that you do has to involve the children.
tis true. You need your time and your
Exactly.
space and your own thing, like just like they do too. Really,
Right.
honestly, that's what I realized with my son for sure. He is 9 years old, neurodivergent as well,
Hmm.
and very much like knows what he wants to do. Literally today, I like rescued him out the pool because he was like drowning at one point or trying, like, playing with this darn, like it was a noodle thing. And I
Hmm.
I was like, okay, I'm coming. So I come and get him and he's fine. But then because he notices that everybody is looking at him, he goes, "Oh, mommy, get off me. Get off me. Don't." I was like,
Oh
I just
no,
saved your little life. What are you doing? I
you're
don't want.
handsome.
He don't want space. That's why I say he wants his space. He wants to be able to, do things in a way that works for him. And instead of like crushing it and being like, no, do it my way. Like I largely try to empower my baby to,
Right.
see his value. So all good. But we want you guys to be involved in this conversation. So be sure that you are logged in to Twitch, or are they able to respond on Facebook and stuff, or is it just Twitch?
Yeah.
I just want to make sure.
No, there's
Um,
no watch on
yeah,
Facebook
so on
and
Facebook and I think on Twitter as well, you can leave comments and stuff that we can actually see and
yeah.
we'll be able to respond to those live. We'll also try to like keep it kind of participatory. We'll put some polls in there. The only thing to keep in mind, unfortunately, my IG people, y'all forgive me. Unfortunately, we don't have the ability to do the polls with
You
y'all as of yet.
know,
And it's not our fault though, just so we clear.
no,
Okay.
it's
It's
not.
Instagram fault. We talking trash about Instagram on Instagram. I get it.
You
But at
know,
the same time, I just want them to know it's not trash to be like, just stay trash. They really could fix this and be more cooperative for creators like us so we can get to all of our audience and be able to keep everybody
right.
on the same page and get them involved. But for now, right now, IG, you guys are able to just watch. But either way, I'm grateful to have you guys on, and you guys will be able to stick with us for the whole thing. So it's still gonna be really dope.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
feel free to drop information in the chat too on Instagram. We can still see them, so that still works.
Yep. Definitely. Let's see. So each show is hyper focused on a one topic and we'll break it down into three little segments. So topics are pretty open ended and will relate to all things ADHD and in being the black community in some way. So today's three segments are wait, we haven't
Whoop.
talked
I
with the
put up
actual
too many fingers.
oh
Look.
look. First let's do a drum roll for what the actual topic is.
Topic
Hello.
is right. I don't even know what happened with that. Sorry, that was my bad. Look, come on, Patrick. You better hit them drums. You better. Boy, come
Today's
on.
topic is ADHD across the gender spectrum. We
Yes,
were going to have a special guest tonight, but he was not
but
feeling
life,
well. You
you
know,
know,
life be living,
it do. It
life
do
be
be
living,
living.
life
Listen,
be
do be
living.
living.
Hmm. So
But
we weren't able to have that, but we can pivot. We can pivot.
yes,
We are
and
pivoting.
that doesn't mean that that conversation is not going to take place. So what
Oh
we're
yeah.
planning on doing is doing a part one with you guys today, and then on the next show, we'll give it a little bit of space because we all kind of need a little break, a little bit,
Hmm.
and we'll talk more about that at the end. But essentially, we'll go ahead and have our special guest come on and go into the specifics of just like the spectrum in terms of like pride and things of that nature. Since
Mm-hmm.
Rakia and I do not identify as members of that community, we do want to make sure that we're uplifting voices though in that community to speak for themselves,
Exactly.
to let us know what that experience is like. So I'm
Exactly.
genuinely still excited to get that done.
Ye-
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
so let's see, where are we on our little list of things? Okay, yes, our three subtopics. So we're talking about gender across the ADHD across the gender spectrum.
Yes.
So it's part one, we're going to be focusing on how does ADHD affect Black women differently,
Hmm.
hormones and ADHD treatment, and then how can we as Black women exist as truly liberated Black neurodivergent female minds. So those
Boom.
some hard questions to think
Yes.
about. Um, let's
But be
keep those in
ready.
mind. Be ready. Be ready.
Be ready. And
Mm-hmm.
so also every now and again you might get a little Ricky rant or a little Tara tangent or a little Tara tantrum. We don't know, every now and again you might get some Ricky rage. You know what I'm saying? It might come out.
Yes.
But either way, the point here is those are bonus content that you can just kind of be grateful for, in the sense that like we're grateful for your support and we're willing to share with you some of the random information and facts that we've accumulated over the many years of just going down rabbit holes, time after time, not even knowing, because we just got diagnosed recently. So y'all
Yeah.
know it's a lot in there.
Yeah.
So we'll just drop that off every now and again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Definitely. All right. So we just so y'all know, like disclaimer, we will talk about our neurodivergencies and mental health, but we are not mental health professionals. Therefore, this show should not be in place of you seeing a mental health professional. Please.
No, please. It
We're
works
just
best when you use it with
yes.
your therapy or whatever else. We are offering the community side. We want to offer you, some of our insights and things that we've learned, but ultimately we also learn big time that everything doesn't work for everybody, and that's okay. So of course we'll discuss our experiences, but this is in no way a full reflection of the Black diaspora's experience with ADHD. However, it is a valid portion that is worthy of dignity and recognition and representation and support. So if you are enjoying any parts of our show and just having this as an addition to your life, seeing some representation from the Black girl neurodivergent fam, hey, we
Mm-hmm.
hope to challenge views on mental diversity and embody the alternative to white supremacy through our stories of humility and voices of dissent. And we can't do that by ourselves. We need your support. So make sure that you're getting connected with us either on Facebook with the group, or of course with our Twitch, and just being involved in the conversation. But regardless, we want to have you guys in on it. It is not just our perspective. We want to hear back from you guys. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. We talked about our topic. So our topic is ADHD across the gender spectrum. So, you know,
What's gender got to do? Got to do with it.
but first,
Oh,
but first,
what's gender?
grab your water, your
Come
fidget
on.
toy, your favorite snacks. Cause it's time to get hype, y'all. Let's get into
It's
it.
about to get real high now. Let me stop throwing up gang signs for somebody to call me. I don't know no gangs, okay? For real. I'm not a part of nothing. I'm not affiliated with nothing.
Your fingers,
Listen, keep my
like
finger uncrossed. They
look.
just gonna
That,
be like this
no,
for the
because
rest
you're stimming. It's okay. You're
of
stimming.
the day. That's what it is. That's really what it is.
It
And y'all
is.
got me excited, so I can't help it.
Oh my
All
goodness.
good.
Right. All right. So just a quick little poll. If you're watching, tell us in the chat what snack or snacks have you been hyper focused on lately? And let us
Yeah.
know in the comments
Yes.
what you've been watching or what you've been eating. What you been snacking
Listen,
on? What you snacking
my
on?
favorite snack right now, I don't know why, but I'm on it heavy. Okay. I'm literally hyper focused on this mug for at least 2 months. That's a long time for me because I normally try to, like, I got my go
Mm-hmm.
tos. Apples and peanut butter. I
Ooh.
don't know why.
Mm.
And like I have like now I done got to the point where like I have a special kind of peanut butter that I like, like I have a preference.
Yeah.
Like I have a preference on my apples. Pink
Mm-hmm.
ladies, shout out to that. For real, it ain't just about apples. It's you got to get the right one because it got to be tangy but kind of sweet. And then
Mm.
that juxtaposed to the peanut butter just makes my life so much happier. So I'm
Mm.
actually gonna take a bite while we hear from you. Which one are you hyper focused on, Ricky?
I haven't really been hyper focused on snack. Like I've been more of a like if I'm hungry, I want something like I want some kind of Asian cuisine. I want Chinese food. I want Korean food. I want some Thai food.
Mm,
I want some
listen, that's a
Vietnamese food.
vibe.
Like
That is
I don't
a vibe.
like if someone were like, "Hey, let's go get some Thai," and I'm like, "Yes, let's go." There's
Mm-mm.
a Filipino restaurant that just opened like a couple months ago.
Mm.
Um, man, the rolls, egg rolls, were
What y'all
just
eat on what y'all focus on Instagram? Y'all need to drop that in the
right.
chat. We need to see.
Hmm.
I can't read your mind. I'm
Right. So
driving.
like I'll go for that. But if anything, let's see.
Mm.
I always like chocolate. Chocolate's my thing. I want ice cream. That's what I
Chocolate.
want.
Chocolate
Ice
is one
cream.
of those things. I only like chocolate like during the time of the month, and I'm sure that that's like something
Hmm.
we'll largely come up on. But like genuinely, that is the only time. Otherwise, I'm
Ah,
like, ugh, I could do without chocolate. I don't know. It's a weird thing.
I love chocolate. Billy
Mm.
Berserker. Hey, so
Yes.
Billy Berserker has been like A1 since day one. Anytime I'm
Listen,
streaming
gang, gang,
anything,
man.
right?
Look, you making me
Anytime
pull
I'm
out the
streaming on
fidget.
Twitch,
You making
like
me pull out the fidgets. Gang,
look,
gang, gang, gang,
shout
gang.
out to Billy Berserker.
Shout
Um,
out
he
for
said
real.
cheap tacos are what we had for look. Taco
Yes.
Tuesday. Look, I'm all
Only
so
do it.
Wednesdays. I know it's Wednesdays.
Right.
Wednesday used to be
But it's
margarita
the
night in
leftovers.
college. Look,
Ooh, yeah.
yes,
Ooh, margaritas. Oh,
yeah.
yes. I haven't got a good margarita in a minute, man. You like
Happy
yours with
Monday,
salt
Billy.
or a sugar?
I prefer sugar. I'm not really into the salt, but I
Happy
will
Monday,
go
Billy.
without
Mm,
it. I'll go without. But
okay.
what I do like to do is I like to make them at home. I don't necessarily like going out to get them anymore.
Mm,
So one time on a cruise I went we one of our excursions was making margaritas, like
mm,
legit, like just the tequila, orange liqueur,
mm.
a lime,
Yeah.
bam. Best thing
Bam.
ever. That's it. That's all I need. That's
Listen.
all I need.
I don't know how to make none of that stuff, but my husband, like at one point, like in a past life, was a bartender, knows how to make drinks.
Hey.
He also is neurodivergent. So shout out to him. But I have not had to worry about that. So I just let him know, like, I want something. Just make,
Look,
don't make it
can I
taste gross.
can I just say that
Genuinely
like
come out good.
look, I've been wanting to like at one point I wanted to be a bartender.
Mm.
I did like I like to make drinks every once in a while. Like I like to make a old
Mm.
fashioned and then margaritas
Mm-mm.
now, all that stuff. Yeah.
You get into all the different. Do you do like tomato juice? What's that
Mm-mm.
thing? Bloody Mary? Yeah, I
Oh
can't do
no.
that.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Nasty. If you like Bloody
No.
Marys, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
No.
I'm gonna
I'm
pray
not.
for you.
Look, I'm
Send
not
me a
into
special hand.
like I like savory things, but not a savory drink. I don't like
Yeah,
a savory drink.
right. It need to be sweet
It needs to be
or
sweet.
water.
Granted, like I'll drink a red wine and it'll be fine.
Hmm. I
And
don't
like,
really like wine either. Like I
see,
used to like wine. I think
you
like
just
back in the day when I was just trying to get tipsy. I was
you
trying to get
you was
to
probably sipping on Moscato.
yes, that literally that or exactly keeping it real light. I wasn't doing no real heavy duty.
At best, it
I ain't
was
doing
some
no
Riesling,
wine trips. See, that's something we could do.
some
Real
Boone's
talk.
Farm. Look,
Listen, we can go to a winery. I've never been, and I would genuinely enjoy it because I don't know nothing about it.
let's go to. Ooh,
Oh
stop.
no.
Look, you in Texas? I'm sure y'all got some wineries.
Listen, right? I need to figure it out. I'm gonna
Look.
figure it out. If you know one, drop it link. Let me know.
Mhm. Now I understand that Billy. So Billy says
Mm,
he has alcoholic tendencies, but I'm not alcoholic
mm,
adventurous enough to be a bartender. You know, yes, I understand that because if the
mm.
temptation's there, you don't
Yes.
want to do it. But I'm sure there's some like bartenders that don't really drink like
Well,
that.
mocktails. I was about to say there's a
Oh
whole
yeah.
like thing on that
Ooh.
now. Like
Hmm.
that's a whole new thing.
Yeah.
Like for real. And they be tasting like they give you the buzz because it gives you the not the buzz like the
The
buzz, but you
flavor.
know
You
what I
want
mean?
the
The
you want the
flavor. And I'm
flavor.
saying the taste sensations, I guess, are like stuff in your mouth. So like
Mm-hmm.
soda is gonna give you the same kind of like buzz or whatever, and they have ways to make it taste a certain way. But
Mhm.
largely mocktails are a whole like industry. So Billy, that might be your calling, homie. Like maybe you just need to get into a different direction on it.
It might be a thing. And I think that might be really more for like the sweet
Mm,
type of drinks, or like
yeah,
maybe a best like a
right.
mojito, but
Because you
like
couldn't do. Yeah, I
I
feel
don't
you.
know, cuz
You
like
couldn't do like a. You can't
unless you
do a Crown Royal mocktail. I don't know if
no,
that exists.
I
I don't know that I want it, to be honest.
right. Not even
That part.
like the apple crown, like it might be some apple juice and some
Right.
Coke. I don't think I want that.
Listen, right. It
I don't think
just,
I want
I genuinely am. I have one goal when I use those items, and one goal only, and it ain't taste. So,
that.
that's why I don't drink it. There you go. I know what it is. It ain't for me,
See,
but
look.
I don't shake nobody else to do their thing. Hey,
Mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm.
all
All
good.
right, so let's get into our main topic: ADHD across the gender spectrum. What's gender got to
Yes.
do with it?
Yes. It's, a secondhand emotion. I'm just kidding. I don't think
No.
it's a second emotion. But there was, so first I wanted to go into specifically how it kind of affects us as Black women
Mhm.
a bit differently than just women in general, and men as well. So one of the issues is, from the beginning, when it came to ADHD, all of the research was largely on white males, white
Young
young
boy,
males. That
yeah,
was it. That
young
was it.
boy first.
Straight white males. And
Yeah.
so like vastly the majority. And so there was very few, like very, very little information on people of color, on gender spectrums, like for real. And so now we're starting to kind of open that up a little bit more, and understanding a little bit more in regards to ADHD specifically. ADHD can actually be impacted by like our hormones, specifically our sex hormones. So
Mhm.
men and women experience ADHD differently. And if you're also Black, those additional layers of complexity will often, further complicate your mental condition.
Yes.
So yeah, it's not it, it's hard out here for us, but we are doing our very best to try and promote shows like this and conversations like this that kind of challenge these notions and say, you know what, why not? You got enough people now, and enough time now, and enough progressions in research capabilities now. Do it. Like we're here for it.
It's probably worth a Google, y'all. It's probably
Listen,
worth a
that
Google.
just saying, you know.
Ah, um, so we are talking about with Black women, but like let's also like make sure we talk about how um neurodivergency and ADHD appears in like Black men and boys,
Mhm.
and so we know how in like the school to prison pipeline, the demographic of students that are disciplined more often, um
Mhm.
disciplined to a harder extent than other demographics, um usually black boys and black girls. But so for Black boys, it usually appears as disruptive, sometimes aggressive behaviors, hyperactive. Like the hyperactivity looks different, and
It's
mainly
labeled differently,
it's
basically.
labeled different. Yes.
Yeah.
um there's that rise of Black boys being diagnosed with oppositional defiance disorder.
Mhm. And I could definitely see like the connection to that, because
Hmm.
with my son specifically, he has ADHD, but that emotional dysregulation piece, um as far as like managing those emotions,
Hmm.
understanding them, like it's hard to manage that. And he's 9 years old, so he's like on the cusp of puberty. So
Yep.
those changes are impacting him. And so yeah, it's unfortunate though that like our babies get labeled as like, oh, they're being problematic, oh, they're being disruptive. But
Hmm.
then when a white male presents the same tendencies, it's labeled as like, oh, he's just being impulsive and hyperactive, and that probably is related to ADHD, and they are more likely to be diagnosed in younger age. So it turns out that women with ADHD are more likely to have an internal presentation of ADHD, where inattentiveness is the predominant symptom, whereas men typically present in a more external presentation. And I will also say, um, because of the understanding that we have as far as like the spectrum of gender, and just recognizing that it's really an impact of like testosterone and estrogen,
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't necessarily have to do with your actual sex organs. It's more like, you could be a male that has high estrogen levels. That will definitely impact your ADHD differently than a male who has higher testosterone levels. Testosterone tends to push it as an external presentation and vice versa. So like even me, when I was in school, I was very combative. I was not the type to just like take it. I wasn't quiet. I talked a lot, but I found a lot of I guess because there were teachers that kind of listened to me and listened to the way that I presented things.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't Not all of them just wrote me off. It would usually be the ones that were challenged by me
Right.
that would like do that to like try to embarrass you or like why are you doing this again or whatever. And so for me, it just became a battleground largely. And I
Right.
would find, ways to like engage with my teacher that wasn't necessarily the most helpful way to do that, but at the same time it just asserted myself to say, hey, I'm more intelligent than you're trying to put off. I already kind of got that vibe, being a dark skinned girl. I was born in New Hampshire. I don't know if many of y'all know that about me, but I was born in
I
Gloucester,
was
Massachusetts.
born by the river.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. Come
Stop.
on. In a little tent. Won't he do it? I wasn't in a tent though. We did manage to get a house. I was glad about that. Nah. But for real. So just being in that environment, I kind of was already experiencing like teachers that had already like doubted my abilities before I even showed up. Like just
Mm-hmm.
the minute I showed up, they were just like, we already know what this is. We already have a plan to handle you. So don't even worry about it. And I was just not I feel like that's the epigenetics part where like we pass on trauma through our genes kind of
Mm-hmm.
showing up in my life just because like I never was okay with just kind of like largely like dumbing my light down or whatever just to appease you or to get whatever it is you're trying to give me.
Mm-hmm.
So like I didn't get like good grades till I moved to Florida, which wasn't until like ninth grade. So like like legit I was getting F's and D's in elementary school. And then by the time I got to Florida, I was an honor roll student. So I was like, okay, well, somebody lying because what's going on? I'm
It's
not
weird.
understanding.
Schooling, like when I think back to my own schooling as a kid,
Mhm.
like I was always, for the most part, an okay student. Um, I've definitely struggled more in high school and
Mhm.
then in parts of college, depending on like I guess like the newness, the novelty of it all.
Right.
Um, but like
Mhm.
schooling is weird just to think of what kind of student I was, and I don't think it was overall a great fit. I don't think it was all of that nurturing for me.
Right. Well,
Not
I mean,
completely.
part of the thing is like I think if we really just call it what it is, because I believe in calling shit, I'm sorry. That's what this show is about. So
Mm,
the school system is not really created to educate anybody really. It's really made modeled after the prison system, which makes perfect sense when you understand that like you're trying to make them ready for a scenario that will make them comfortable in a prison system where it's like, okay, at this time you eat, at this time you do lunch, at this time you do whatever. And that's not to say that there aren't people inside of the school system. I do feel like there are a lot of teachers who like recognize that and are counteracting that by making sure that they're actually educating their students and doing things that are not just, by the book or whatever the system says you need to do. And, cutting through some of the red tape that the administration and stuff tries to do to keep us from being able to actually give a real education to a child. And so that's the piece that like for me, I unschool, but I also recognize that like it isn't it isn't for lack of like if I had found a school that my son actually was able to like have a teacher that believed in him, wasn't just going ahead and writing him off or largely giving him the stereotypical you're just a problem, you're just a this. He was really smart too because he would end up in the principal's office and they legit would like the principal had like cars and stuff in her office. So I was like, I'm coming in there like, bitch, I want to be in here. I'm not understanding why. What incentive do I have to be in the classroom? I'm not understanding.
yeah, it's a um oh, so it says prisons, schools, mental hospitals are all called institutions for a reason.
Listen, that
So I wouldn't have necessarily like went through like what's the thought of like prison, but also like workers, like industrial like
Well, that's
worker bees,
exactly
because
all of it.
so like that's all
Commodity.
that stuff. But
You're
like
not a
it,
human. You're not really like largely, and that's why it's easy to just like bullshit to you about history, because
yeah,
where you're going, history isn't that important, is it? Like that's that's
yeah.
genuinely how they feel about it.
Which is kind of a conundrum being a teacher, and
Mm,
like the 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 way that education is trying to go, or how people in education are trying to steer it. And we're
mhm.
not talking, I'm not talking about like the ones that are like no CRT in the classroom, book ban.
Right.
I'm talking about like how teachers, there's lots of teachers, we're trying to find these
Meaningful
different
ways.
ways, meaningful
Yeah.
ways for children to gain knowledge and to
Right.
build knowledge and get it, understand information. But it almost feels like it's for naught
Right.
because
Because
at the
largely
same,
you get tested, and
right,
then I have to teach to a test that quite literally is not a reflection of any knowledge whatsoever that I had learned or accumulated over the whole semester that was meaningful, right? So like all this
yeah,
meaningful work you're doing is great, but it's like at the end of the day, they may not even benefit because like this is the part where we have to acknowledge the systemic racism in it and just being like, it was made to do that. It's made to
right,
be like, okay, even if you did try to like teach these kids something, they're gonna be able to do nothing with it because we have already rigged the game, and whatever test they're taking, largely has issues when it comes to people of color, taking those tests and actually passing them, because a lot of them are like skewed a certain way or like late,
right.
done a certain way to make you.
But also like the idea that that it's it's also the systemic racism. It's like the systemic like classism too. Like you
Mhm.
are the idea is not for everyone to be able to
Right.
go to an Ivy League school or to
Correct.
have one of those
Get them out.
six-figure positions
Hmm.
and jobs. It's we're and like it's there's nothing wrong with those other jobs. There's nothing wrong with the middle class job. There's nothing wrong with the blue collar job. But
It's not valued in our society as much because we have a
mhm,
society that's built on
right,
money,
capitalism.
commodity. Right.
Yes, so
Literally
it's a
that.
system based on capitalism.
Right.
So like how does this balance out? How does this make sense? Like we want children, we want to be able to meet kids where they are so they can learn, but like at the same time, no, we're expecting them to take this test all the same way, and then
But that's the whole point. Is like the
yes,
test could never actually measure anything.
it
There's
doesn't.
no test that could really actually measure intelligence. And I think
Yeah.
that's the piece that is not serving our children well.
Hmm.
Just in terms of them feeling like their value is associated with some grade that literally is arbitrary. Because that's what I'm saying. That I think that that's what I learned most, just having the experience of being in New Hampshire versus being in
Hmm.
Florida. Because it wasn't that like I had changed and I was like suddenly a different student in Florida. I was the same person. I just had teachers that understood me, that were willing to
Hmm.
like try to get to know me, as opposed to just being like, I already know who this person is and I'm not interested in any other version of that, because that would require me to do work. And I don't want to do work. I just want you to fail and move on with where to the prison system that you are meant to go to anyway. Like that's largely how many of them have, done it. So
Mm.
what's that, Billy? Let's see. A friend is becoming a high school teacher in San Francisco, and he says that a lot of his kids that are children of immigrants, predominantly Asian, are at a disadvantage at standardized tests because they lack cultural touchstones. That's exactly that. That's what I'm
Hmm.
saying. Like if you look at how the tests are created, they are not made in a way to actually accommodate a variety of cultural uh diversities or backgrounds. So if, and matter of fact, that classism piece is in there too, because
Hmm.
if you have the money, then you can hire somebody to like train your baby to be ready for this test. If you
Yeah.
don't have the money for that, well, now you're having to figure this out largely on your own. You may or may not be able to actually get support. So that
Hmm.
automatically is putting you in a space where it's like, it isn't that I couldn't learn this information, it's that you have advantages that I have not been given. That is
Right.
privilege.
You weren't given opportunity to experience these things. Ugh, goodness
So
gracious.
blah
Woo.
blah blah.
All right. Yes. Okay. So back to the topic of how does ADHD affect Black women differently. So like if we talk, so so we'll talk about this eventually, like when we talk about trigger, not really a trigger, but like menstrual cycle, but things like that.
What
It,
this is for?
I'm
We
just
about to
saying.
talk about menstrual cycles. It's grown folks in here. Listen. And adults and human beings have menstrual
I'm
cycles. If that's
grown.
a problem for you, I don't know what to tell you. You don't this ain't maybe that's not
So
your spot. I'm just saying.
so you know how when you are about to go on your cycle, like there's actually like an increase in testosterone, which is what
Yes.
makes you emotional. Just so y'all know, misogynist. So like the increase of emotion that you're feeling is really an increase in testosterone. And so when if you are dealing with ADHD and like you're dealing with a lack of dopamine, that really
Mhm.
messes you.
So this is the part that okay. So we might as well go on ahead and hop in a
Yeah.
segment two because I feel like
Yeah.
we already at this space. And
Yeah.
genuinely, I learned a lot about this part. So ADHD and periods. Listen, we have different phases of our cycle, and basically these horm throughout our menstrual cycle, which is basically like a usually 30-day to I think 24 days might be the shortest. I don't remember exactly the range, but
Yeah.
whatever, Google it. But either way, we experience a lot of subtle hormonal changes, and so during the follicular phase, which is known as the first half of our cycle, estrogen levels are actually like
Say that
high,
word
and
again. Say that word again.
yes, follicular phase. Yes,
Hmm.
follicular. I believe
Hmm.
that's follicular. Yes, I'm gonna oversay it. Right. But either way, our estrogen levels are like higher in also our neurotransmitters are more balanced. So usually during this part of our period, we feel like the most normal, for lack of a better term, but just the most like okay or like genuinely like balanced.
As
So
good as we can be. God.
yes, as balanced as any ADHDer could actually be. That's
There we
probably
go.
the space. So I feel like so basically during that phase, that's like when you taking your medication, you just usually it starts at when you're the first day of your period, up until like the midpoint of your period. So that phase is like kind of when your estrogen levels are coming back up, you're feeling all good. I could focus now. My medicine's working. I'm in the zone. The hyperfocus is there. I'm able to do what I gotta do.
Mm-hmm.
But then we hit that luteal phase, man. And
Mm.
it ain't no joke. That's the second half. But that's when your progesterone levels rise, which
Ugh.
can make your ADHD symptoms worse. And
Yikes.
so before your period, some women end up feeling like super hyper, more restless. They have a
All the
harder time
brain fog.
focusing.
Ooh,
Exactly.
brain fog.
Brain fog, all of that. Exactly. Hard time focusing, accomplishing tasks gets harder to do. And I genuinely struggle with this every single time. Like I'm mad every time as if I don't know that this is what's coming. Cause I'm just like, look, I know
Is that
it's
how it's
coming,
spelled?
but still.
Is that how it's spelled? Follicular?
No, it's got two L's in there. FOLLICULAR, I think. Look,
So like, is that to
I'm
do with
not
like
a
folic acid?
I don't think so. I don't
You
know
know,
what look, now you're making me Google what follicular?
like that's like like the pills you take like when you're pregnant, like prenatal pills, and like it's got a lot of folic acid.
Maybe.
Look,
I mean, I
look,
feel like it
look.
might be a
I try
thing.
to I try to block out my pregnancies. I enjoyed
Listen.
motherhood, but pregnancy is ugh, it's a
Oh,
joke.
so no, it's related to follicle.
Follicle.
Okay.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
So the follicular phase revolves around the maturation of an egg within a follicle, whereas the luteal
Oh,
phase involves the follicle's transformation into the oh Lord, corpus luteum.
we
Yeah,
talked
okay.
up in this here.
All the things. Listen,
We
I have never realized that I feel like that's one of the things as Black women specifically that we need to do a little better job on. I don't know if it was just me or what, but it was a lot of like wives' tales and stuff when it came to your cuckoo. And look, we don't even got name. Look, all the names: cuckoo, your pocketbook, your Kit
I
Kat.
I don't subscribe to that. As a
Not
mom
me.
of
That's right.
right, exactly. No, no,
Me
for real
too.
though, because
I agree.
I made the decision when I was pregnant with my oldest. My oldest is my daughter.
Mm,
We're gonna name the things what they are. They're gonna
correct.
call them what they are because we're not gonna have the
And you need to
situation
know.
where right, where she's trying to tell me something, like someone's touching
Correct.
her, which they don't be touching
And not
her,
just you, because
not just me.
you might get it, because you'll get it,
Right,
right? You know your babies like
right,
sayings. But somebody else will be like, they
right,
touched your jingle bells. What is that?
right. They touch your cookies, they touch your flour. What? No, no, tell them what it is. Like
Tell
that's
them to give it back. I don't
right.
you like, no, you missing it. Like
Right,
that's
exactly, exactly. No, no, but for real though, like these are
mhm,
actually like the medical terms. You can
yep.
call them what they are. There's no
Mhm.
need to be ashamed of it. That is
Correct.
what it is. But yeah,
Correct.
but the side note, like that's what I'm saying. Like as a mom of a girl,
Mm.
I decided no, we're going to, and when I had my
Oh yeah.
son, like we're gonna name them what they are, and they're gonna know what
Mhm.
they are, and if we can, and as they get older, we can talk about more of those things in the correct medical terms.
Right. Right. No, I think that is extremely helpful. Exactly. Not just from the standpoint of like, yes, you do need to be able to speak up for yourself and advocate for yourself properly with by using the proper terms. But also just in the understanding of like making it more normal to talk
Yeah,
about our bodies and not feel
right.
ashamed, because there was so much
Yes,
about
a
my body that I
shame.
did not know,
Oh my god.
because like we just didn't talk about that stuff. Like I
Oh,
genuinely told my mama the other day, mama, what we could do. Actually, was it my mama? I don't remember. I was talking to somebody. I don't think it was my
mm,
mama. I think it was a mama like figure.
right.
Listen, it be people.
Somebody.
But essentially, I was telling them
Somebody.
in general, like, do you know that your clitoris is not just the head that like sticks out? Like there's a whole piece behind your vagina that like exists all the way down to like your anus area. So it's like if you're not aware of that, then you're thinking, okay, this is where all the action is. No, boo, it's a whole situation
Like
going
we've
on
all
back
been
there.
failed in health.
You are
We've all failed health
neglecting.
class. Like we all must have failed health class.
I'm trying to tell you, I'm trying to figure out right now, like what happened? How did I
Hmm.
do this? How did I just
Hmm.
survive this long with this
Hmm.
vagina? I just been doing pole things. She better now. We got better information now. Better,
Look, when you know better, you
we
do
learn.
better.
Come on.
Right. Look, when you know better, you do better,
That part.
and you do better by your genitalia, I guess.
Listen.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm just saying, but like that's so funny. So now that we were talking about this, but like it reminds me of there's this series on TikTok, um, where she's probably like in her early 20s, 25 at the latest, black girl, and
Mm-hmm.
she's like things the women in my family told me that don't make sense now, and
Oh,
it's
child.
oh like all the things that like the women in your family could shame you for and you think they're well meaning, but it's like it's hurtful because you know that they've been told that themselves, and
Listen, that.
and they're passing it down to you, but like really it doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you trying to shame me for wanting to use a tampon? Now I don't
Right.
think I've never had to actually experience that with my family, surprisingly enough. So like I don't think that was the case, but just like I
Mm-hmm.
remember hearing those things, not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily from my family, but like maybe like in passing friends and whatever. But like, why are you assuming that I'm having doing sexual activity because I need a tampon? Look, no one wants to wear a
Right.
pad all the time. I can't wear a pad in the pool. That it absorbs for a reason. Um,
That
you
part.
know, you know, wearing red, red nail
Right.
polish. No, that's for ladies
Lipstick.
and I. Yes. Look.
I don't know. That was a
Mm,
lot of the stuff though. I think is like a carryover from,
mhm.
survival tactics that and honestly, so to that point, this kind of brings me into where I want to go anyway with Bell Hooks. Cause I
Mhm.
just listen, shout out to Bell Hooks. I know she is deceased
Pass.
at this
Mhm.
point, but I'm largely upset that I did not figure out or find out about her until after. Cause what we would have had a conversation.
I think she
But
passed last year.
man,
Mhm.
yes, yes. I think in November, if I'm not
Mhm.
mistaken.
Yep.
But yeah, like just listening to her and reading her book, Killing Rage.
Mhm.
I recommend it. Killing Rage. And it basically she was just talking about that experience of like having to basically for a long time black people were kind of insulated because we were like largely kept to ourselves in our space. We can do our own thing, so then that way we're not having to be conscious of the white supremacy that is being perpetuated or that we're a part of the system, and the fact that like we literally have to hide our blackness. So There was like one way that you acted with your family, and then one way that you acted when you were, around the folks, because you had to work with them or do things with them or whatever.
Right. Right.
So just in general, like, it was just very helpful to have that model of just understanding. She was like, that was a denial essentially that we were kind of putting ourselves through, and that we are now like having to face that with the repercussions of like, hey, you cannot just like ignore it away. You can't
Mm-hmm.
pretend it doesn't exist and then hope that like things change that way. And also, like, part of that is like suppressing our emotions and our rage and our stuff like that. And so, like, the part of ADHD, I think that we don't talk about enough, of course, is kind of that emotional piece, just because in the Black community, I think that's one area that we are constantly like, what's the word? Gosh, of course, ADHD, listen. But basically, like, people are trying to block us or censored. I knew the word was coming.
Mm-hmm.
Censored. So I
We'll get
found
there
it.
eventually. Don't
I
worry.
found it.
Don't mind
I
us.
did
We'll get
find it.
there.
Censored. So that's one way that people try to kind of like censor us, is to be like, hey, black anger, black rage, black emotions are problematic, and so you need to put that away. Don't show that, because that will get you killed, which is crazy, because the only people who really like largely, it's very rare that you hear a story of Black people killing just white people for the sole purpose of just like, I had rage. And that's what they're all scared of, which is so weird, because we don't do that. The people who do that are them historically. If you look at the history, that's what happens. That's what lynchings are. That's what, all of these different things are. Trigger warning. Sorry, I should have said something. But I'm
I
just saying,
mean, so
genuinely, that is something we need to kind of understand, that like, for us, the experience of ADHD with that emotional part, we don't get that benefit of the doubt of just being like, well, you're human and you can be mad sometimes, or there's real reasons why you should be mad. There's real reasons where if I didn't see you be angry about it, I'd be concerned. And like, that's the part that I feel like we
Ooh,
are
so
denied.
let's talk about the intersection between like being a woman and being Black and having emotions and being able feeling comfortable enough to show our emotions. Because number
Mm-hmm.
one, like being a woman, like you don't want to be considered emotional and
Correct. Or
unreasonable or
domineering,
logical
militant
or a
label.
bit or
Oh
completely
yeah.
illogical, all that other stuff. And then you have being a Black woman and like being considered like aggressive and mean and like, and it's like I shouldn't be considered aggressive if I raise my voice a little.
Yeah. And I mean, more than that. Like, genuinely agree that, like I said, it's a human, if we start with the human part of it, it's just like, that's a part of a human experience. So you
Mm-hmm.
don't get to say what my anger looks like, or what my anger should sound like, or whatever. And even Bell Hooks kind of challenged this in a way where I was like, I really like this position, just because she said, when we look at the home, there are a lot of like labels that we give to people inherently and call them natural, when they
Mm-hmm.
really aren't like, just, or not even that they aren't natural. They are natural, but they, just because something is natural doesn't mean it doesn't need to be challenged.
Right.
So, for example, she's like, it's natural for you to shit on yourself. However, you don't hear nobody complaining at you every time you try to use a toilet and be like, no, but it's natural for you to poop on yourself. So don't use the toilet.
We don't do that
Like,
here.
no, okay, calm down. I know it's natural. However, I don't want to do that. So, like, it's stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that that just kind of like puts it in a position of just like, just because something is natural doesn't mean it shouldn't be challenged. And I feel like that's one of those areas specifically that like we in general need to like challenge a bit more. Like, the definition of a woman, it like saying that women are more nurturing, or more like more motherly, or whatever, and all these different things that they just automatically denote, when really, if you look at it, in a lot of Black communities as well, not to say all Black communities, because this is what it is. We do have experiences though of people who are abused by their parents, or
Mm-hmm.
mother, father, whoever, and it genuinely is done in a way where it's like, I am now giving supremacy over you,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't have supremacy or agency over my life in other spaces, in other ways. And so that's like showing out in another way, and it's like, you can't go against that, because it's like, that person is taking care of me. They actually like made me who I am or whatever, but I don't want to push against that because of that. But also, this person did hurt me. This person
Mm-hmm.
did cause trauma to me. And that's like another like layer of like this that we have to kind of process. And like I said, it's just hard for us to I think as ADHDers though, the thing that we do have going for us is our willingness to challenge status quos. And
Mm-hmm.
so like it almost felt natural to me hearing her say stuff like, well, just because you are a woman does not mean that you are more nurturing. That is not
Right.
something that is inherent to you. Says who? Like
Right.
the majority of situations happen with close loved ones that are that have been women that, but it's your mom, so you don't say anything or
I was
whatever, or
like,
it's your auntie or your whatever. So
how much of this like this ability to nurture is literally been nurtured into me. So
exactly
like
that. That's what I'm
like
saying. Yeah,
like purely
the
like
toys you play
from
with.
right the toys I
Yes.
play, but not even just that, like the like growing up in situations like so like I'm the oldest of, I have two sisters and a brother, and like I'm my little brother, he's the next one after me, but that's
Mm,
already a 12-year difference or 10-year
wow.
difference.
Yeah.
And then like my sisters are 12 years younger than me, and so I grew up with one sibling,
Hmm.
um like the second youngest sibling that I have, and like at 12 years old going into middle school, like, and mom's working, and like and I claim it, like I basically help raise that little girl.
Right.
Like, so like how much of this
Yep.
nurturing, the things that I know as to you as a mother now, how much of that was basically nurtured from having to help take care of a younger sibling.
Absolutely. And that's the part that I think, like I said, I think that Bell Hooks was trying to get at was like we largely just look at stuff like that as isolated incidents and just don't see the connection to white supremacy because we have been insulated within our own communities in
Hmm.
some cases, especially in the South. Just in terms of like being able to like I just hang around my people, and then when I have to go to work, then that's whatever. But it's like, you shouldn't just be okay with just having financial status and then like give up your rage so easily for that.
Hmm.
Like, fuck that. Like that's your I think the thing is that like I think I want to point out it's just like as neurodivergence, that's something that we are often criticized on, and I think is another way for us to genuinely take back ownership of our humanity and a lot of things that we've lost in terms of dignity because people labeled us as X, Y, and Z. When
Hmm.
you know who you are, when you are fully aware of the ways in which your ADHD is showing up, you're more able to navigate that. You're more able to stand up for yourself and say, no, like I'm genuinely mad because this
Hmm.
is what's happening that's causing me to be upset, or I need a moment because I feel myself getting angry, or I feel myself getting whatever, and like being able to navigate that in a more progressive way. But I don't think that it's something we need to just get rid of. Like I don't need to stop being mad. I think I
Right.
need to like use my anger to stop whatever it is that is causing me to be mad, and not just stop it in terms of being like, okay, eliminate it. Like no,
Right.
challenge it, offer new ideas, be reimagined. Like that's the whole point of us neurodivergent brains thinking differently than other
Mhm.
people. That's I think where we kind of be able to show up in these arenas and spaces and challenge things. So
All right,
yeah.
so let's circle back to hormones and ADHD, particularly with um ADHD and pregnancy, because pregnancy by
Man,
itself, oh
listen.
my gosh, pregnancy by itself is just a mess of hormones. Like not even just hormones, but like your whole body's a mess. Like
Yes.
your whole body's a
Okay.
mess.
So before that though,
Mhm.
if if you have look, I'm over here still eating. Y'all catch me. Catch me.
Uh,
ADHD and PMS, if you have those two or you're dealing with those two, it genuinely can complicate your period as well. I mean, complicate your symptoms, rather your ADHD symptoms as well. And
mhm.
so like literally a lot of people will take the pill. Um there are some negative side effects though. I largely do not like taking the pill for that reason. Um personally,
Right.
but they say that typically women who do take the pill actually like get a chance to deal with some of the root causes of those hormonal imbalances. So
Mhm.
then that way it actually improves their PMS and their ADHD management, because the pill typically eliminates their hormone fluctuations.
Yeah.
So that like imbalance that you're getting where your periods are like sometimey, We do have females that experience that, where like your period's not coming every single clock or whatever. Like anytime that whole regardless of what that looks like, I'm saying it's going to affect you in different ways. So your hormone imbalance is not going to be as easy to time, rather.
Mhm. So TMI for some of folks, but like I've been on the depot shot for about
Hmm.
3 years now.
I
Yeah,
used to take the double shot.
and so like like one of the side effects is like weight gain, but
Yeah.
whatever for
I
me.
would look. I need to get me some. Shoot, you see how small I am. I listening. Therefore,
I've come to embrace it, and it is what it is. Just find
there
better
you go.
fitting clothes. It's fine.
Listen,
Um,
thickness ain't nothing wrong with that. I have always wanted to be. I have never been. I
mine is like
wish.
mine all goes to the belly, and that's that
Well,
whatever
whatever. I was about to
whatever.
say, shoot, all
Right.
up in that
Like I
food.
said, like it's that's the I think that's the maturity of being in my 30s now that's
Listen,
coming
that
out.
part.
I
There
don't
you
know.
go. There
It's
you
fine.
go.
But
Snaps.
so like so being on the depot shot, like I
Mm,
haven't gone through my cycle. I haven't had to go
mm,
through my cycle in a while.
right.
And so
That's
I don't know.
you know what? That explains a lot. You know how we started working together in the mornings, and you are always like, I'm ready to go. And I'm always like, girl, I just made it. It's because I'm not on the depot shot. Listen.
No,
I
no,
I
look,
understand.
and therefore this is why we make the disclaimer in the beginning that we are not medical professionals.
Correct.
These are our unique
Correct.
experiences.
Yes.
Um but no,
Tis
I
true.
guess I know that like I work better in certain parts of the morning.
Mm,
Um but also like my sleep schedule is still like on school time.
mm.
Unfortunately, it's still on
Yeah.
school time.
Nah, that's to be expected. You've been
Yeah,
clocking that for like
yeah.
9 weeks now, or what is it, 9 months? I don't know how
Mhm.
long the school year
It's
is, Lord.
like 10,
Lord.
honestly.
Oh yeah,
No,
because you're a
because
teacher, so you
right,
gotta
like
stay extra. Yeah.
right, like I really only get like a month and like a half of summer vacation, while
Mm-hmm.
y'all kids get 2 months. But
Mm,
whatever.
right.
But anyways, yeah, I don't know. I guess I've never really noticed because like sometimes when I remember like after having my or right before I had my cycle, and I try to figure out like why am I feeling this way?
Mm-hmm.
Like why am I feeling down? Why am I feeling so like out of it? Oh yeah, cycle starting.
Right.
Cool. Or like I'm in this part of the cycle, and
Correct.
now like it kind. I don't think I have to deal with it as much as I did before,
Mm.
or maybe it's just I it doesn't bother me as much. I'm not sure. It's so much. There's so many like there's too many things to variables. I have so many variables right
Yeah.
now.
No,
Yeah.
that's understandable. But I think too, like I said, because it's like you're not getting your period anymore. Like you
Hmm.
said, I mean, I think that's largely the point, because pretty much all the hormones and stuff are related to that, to the release of an egg, to the shedding of your lining of your
Ain't no
uterus
egg
and all that
release over
jazz. So
here.
it's like ain't none of that happening, then you
No.
not getting all the fluctuations that the rest of us is getting. But
That
that's something to keep in mind. I just genuinely didn't even consider that. And now I'm like,
that
now
makes
I
me
really want to
wonder
let this
though.
go for real.
That makes me wonder though because I want to get the hysterectomy like done real soon. I want to get like I
You
don't like
can you can opt for one. You could just be like, I want one. Can I get it? That's how they
I
do it now.
mean no you already know
Okay,
that.
because I'm like,
I'm
what?
just saying I'm not having any more children. Like there are no more
I feel
children to
that
come out of me. So
sterilization, maybe
look,
that.
something like I need something to not have to worry about that.
Right.
Also like I've enjoyed not actually having to have my period. Like I'm okay with that.
Hmm.
But I basically wonder like how does that affect my ADHD when would that affect it more because I'm not like right now it's a chemical that's stopping the normal
Hmm.
cycles, but like something else is going to happen, like something medically is going to
Nah, so
happen.
that's what I'm saying. Like you still, so basically, when you take when you taking the shot, basically it's giving you um the progesterone. So it's
Hmm.
basically sent the same hormones that you would normally produce to tell your body like, hey, it's not time to make a baby yet. Like it's something going on over here. That basically is what's happening. So it's just every
Right,
3 months they're shooting the same hormone in there that basically is telling your body, okay, we don't need to do the
right,
whole thing again. We just did it, and it's
right.
like pricking it. So, um, so you're still getting like the benefit beneficial part, I guess, of just not having to deal with like the influx of like estrogen and the decrease of estrogen and progesterone and all of that. So I don't know exactly, but I know that, like I said, I just know that in general, like it has to do with hormones. So I'm
Mhm.
sure, you know, as that all affects you, paying attention is the most important thing, like you say. So
That's
that's
so
advice
hard.
everybody could take for
That's so
real. Cause I
hard.
have to, even with me. So like the week before my period, I always end up like being mad and not even understanding like what is going on. And it's funny because it's like it happens every time. Mine's come like
Mm,
clockwork, and I still just be like, well,
the
I'm not
fog is
understanding why I'm so upset or why I can't do everything that I'm trying to do.
right.
And it just, yeah, it's because it's the week before, and that's what
Yeah.
it is. That's how I normally know
Like it's
things
like
start like
like
not working.
for me it's a fog, and then like it's a I'm down, like I'm a
Right.
downer for a
Man,
while. Just
listen,
it's ooh,
the
man.
fluctuations. And so to go forward into that, like, okay, ADHD, PMS, you already dealing with that, or just ADHD and periods, period. Period. Okay. ADHD and pregnancy.
Mm,
Child, I didn't know this. But it is because when I got pregnant, I didn't even know I had ADHD. So I was just out here straight freestyling. You too? Okay, so we in the same boat. So
so
kind
we
of find
both
out.
like I didn't need that until after the second pregnancy,
Okay.
okay?
Well, at least you had to look. At least you had one with. So you had one with your diagnosis and one without, or you're saying both of
No,
them you didn't know.
like like my son was at least 3 or 4 when I got
Man,
diagnosed,
yeah,
right.
they playing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mm-mm.
But yeah, so kind of find out when you're actually pregnant, like actually pregnant, you have increased estrogen, which is a higher levels of some neurotransmitters, and it can leave some women finding their ADHD symptoms actually disappearing during this time. So
Oof.
like I don't know how much that affects different people or what else could be going on, because I don't know about stress and things of that nature. Because the part that this largely does not include, and I think is important, is like if you are ADHD and undiagnosed, it's possible you was out here doing some sexual behavior that was a little, risky. Hey man, you was out here being a little risky. Amen. But you're still here. And it's by the grace of God. But it's all good. Because I'm one of those people. So I did actually, after my parents got a divorce, it like shook me in a different way, because I just,
Mhm,
even though I kind of knew it was coming, I'm be honest with y'all, I knew it was coming. It
mhm.
needed to happen, because as
Right.
much as they're great people, they're better people apart, just not together.
I hear
Some
that.
people like that.
I hear
So when they did get a divorce though, like I was in college, and I very much kind of felt like that was supposed to be like, in college you always think about like, well, where I'm gonna go home for the holidays, or where will I go? Like I don't know why I was worried about that, because I definitely don't give a damn about it now.
that.
I don't be caring. I be trying to stay home for the
Right.
holidays, for real. Listen, that. But back then I was all concerned about it, like who am I gonna go home to?
I'm gonna
So
go home. I'm gonna go where the food is, okay?
right. Who cooking? That's what I'm
Right.
trying to figure out. But either way, they had gotten their divorce. So my response to that at the time was to kind of like lean into who I was dating. And I wasn't dating anybody at the time. I had just broken up with my
Oh,
son's father.
no. Oh,
Because I had
no.
found some information out that I just was like, okay, what is going on? Need to break that off. But because of this situation, I was feeling a little more, optimistic about the relationship. I don't know, but I got in there and I made things happen, and now my son is here. So the point is, during my pregnancy, though, like I think because it was such a stressful situation, like in the beginning, I had a lot of like morning sickness and like all of that. Like I was in college, so I had to like stop going to my classes, stop going to like certain because it was always in the morning. It was always in
Mhm.
the morning. And I'd be like, what the hell? Like, and it would like take me out to the point where I'd be like, okay, I can't do it. I don't want to do nothing. I just want to be, just want to be. And I would do that. And so, after a while, I ended up dropping out of college, unfortunately. But that was
Mhm.
so what is it, the junior year?
Mhm.
So I had just gotten my AA from community college, and I was trying to go ahead and get my bachelor's, and essentially that just didn't it fell through because I got pregnant. So, but I'm grateful that my baby is here. And I'm grateful that like that journey I still was able to like go through it. I think that's the part that we're like so scared about as Black
Right.
women a lot, is like having experiences like that and always worried about like what they gonna say and what's gonna happen and blah blah blah. It's like what you largely realize, and I think that's what us ADHDers are kind of picking up on, is like you can still do it
You can still do
and
it.
be okay. Like
Oh yeah.
we will all move on. Life will continue.
Oh
I
yeah.
promise you. Like, and my parents was very like religious back then, but um, that's a whole nother child.
Look, just
Listen,
it's
it's just a hot mess.
so when I was pregnant, I had when did I get I got pregnant like literally around the time that I graduated.
Mm-hmm.
So like I had, by the time I found out, like I had been out of school probably about a month or two.
Mm-hmm.
Um and I was trying to like figure out what to do. Like I had my teaching degree, but I wasn't teaching, and um I was attempting to start grad school. Man, I shouldn't have done the grad school pregnant.
Man,
But
man.
I got a grad assistantship, and so like I was paying for like daycare with
Hello.
and doctor bills with this grad assistantship money. But like it in a wedding too. But just the being a black woman in her early 20s, even like engaged, like I got the ring on. I'm like,
Right.
you like we got a house and all this stuff, and the way that folks will just look
Yes.
at you like, oh my gosh, um just like and the folks is real disrespectful, like regard
Extremely.
extremely disrespectful, and just
And
like
nosy. Like,
and
ain't
nosy.
none of
Oh
your
my god,
business.
ain't
Cause
oh
I
my
know
god.
you ain't talking sister so and so been sleeping with brother so and so. You all up in
Look,
mine. Girl back.
look, look. It's
Too
I just I remember like the church that we were going to, like we were already planned, like we had been engaged for at least 6 or 7 months
much.
by the time I got pregnant. And like we had just moved into our house not so long ago, and then like going to our church, predominantly white church, and
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, you're pregnant? Well, it's a good like you're doing the right thing by getting married. Man, we've been engaged for almost a year.
Right.
Like where you been? Like the
Listen.
wedding's already in the books for the church. Like
Right.
we like
We're
this
doing this
is
for y'all, straight
we
up. Like
we
the
we
ceremony is extra. I don't know.
look, I like I'm not sure what you like. This is not a shotgun wedding, like because
Yeah.
there was a talk of like pushing up the weddings. While I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do all that because there's no like I
Right.
can
For
like
what? Oh my
right
God.
like
That and
I'm
that's
like
when you realize this is all like stupid. I just
it is
it's
stupid,
stupid. And I don't understand why they put that much pressure on us. And it's
but
like
like
we have enough
but
to
like
put
the
up with.
stress
You're
from
in
that,
grad school. That's what I'm saying. Like, bitch, I've been
the stress of that, the stress of trying to put on a wedding and being pregnant, and then like there was a lot of other things where it's just like I'm surprised I made it.
listen, that part.
I'm surprised because that shit was hard. It was hard
Mm,
on like, and then to think of how I would dealt with things afterwards, because when you think of like postpartum depression, like
listen,
most of us
that
don't realize until way later, like looking back, like it's really like in hindsight, I was dealing with postpartum depression for a while, and then eventually getting pregnant
mm,
with my second child, and then like I felt like that extended it. So like
right.
I'm dealing with postpartum depression. I feel like the pregnancy really kickstarted a lot of the things that made it more obvious that I had ADHD for me.
Mm,
Um, and then being pregnant again, and then like dealing with like that prolonged depression and anxiety
yes.
again longer, like after having another child. It and like the second pregnancy was not the best pregnancy ever. Like it
Mm.
was like I think at that point I was definitely like I'm not having any more kids. I'm done.
This is
I
it.
just-
I
This
don't know
is
why I
it.
did this the second time. Straight up.
I got one of
Listen,
each. I
man.
love my babies, but this is it. I'm
Right,
done. I'm not putting my body through this again.
man.
Um,
That
my
like
body or my brain.
I
No.
was done after one, but I did one by myself.
Right.
So like I literally when I was pregnant and I dropped out of school, my mother had moved to Texas because she wanted to, be away from the situation. And so I went ahead and moved to Texas with her. But we're staying like in a family member's house. And basically like I'm like I don't have a place to stay. Basically, I don't have a job. Like I'm on somebody else's like in somebody else's situation. Then
Hmm.
like that family member has like people in their household that are all like disruptive and not taking care of their mental health. So now I gotta like deal with that in
Mhm.
incongruence with coming home with a newborn child. So
Right.
that I have to take care of by myself. So like for me, I felt like that postpartum piece was something that like I didn't even get to experience enough to like actually like soak in that that's what was going on initially. And I think largely how I kind of sorry, I think
Mhm.
largely how I hit the mic. I think largely how I dealt with it was just to like dive into another project, which was church, and then to be like, okay, well, I'll just sing at these people church. They looking for somebody. I got nothing to do, whatever, and just take up my time with that. But essentially, I was just kind of running away from just not being alone with my
Mhm.
with my thoughts, essentially.
Oh
But
God, yeah.
yeah, kind of find out and I learned this with like researching for this topic or whatever, like ADHD pregnancies typically go smoothly, but postpartum, of course, is another story because estrogen decreases by 100
Stop.
to 1,000 fold in just a few days after giving birth, having an impact on the brain. So literally you're going
Yep.
from like that high period of like having all the estrogen, feeling all the things, being cute, I'm pregnant, yes. But even then I was dealing with a lot of like crazy emotions. Like one minute I was like all lovey dovey, I love everybody, and another minute I was like, don't touch me, don't
Right.
nobody touch me, I don't want to be
Don't
touched. Like
bother.
it was too much. That. And so like all of that, and then like for you to then have to deal with that also as a single parent
Mm.
possibly, and the added pressure of like, oh, you're a single parent and you're a Black woman, like they already like expect negative thing or have negative stereotypes and stigmas attached to that. Black women and and the baby daddy must be a jail. Like, no, he wasn't. Like, you're fishing. But
Mhm.
that's part of the things that we have to kind of deal with as well. And that's so I'm like, that's that added layer to ADHD that like people don't consider. And that's something that we genuinely need to talk about because, it's not just about the fact that like it was hard out here just as a parent. I also hard because I'm neurodivergent. Also hard because I'm now having to deal with the
It's
trauma
hard
of
in
being
these
Black
in
and like, come on, it's too much.
it's hard in these pregnancy streets, okay? It's
Man,
it's it's already
what?
hard
Listen,
and it's
I
already
already
hard.
knew one and done. I had been said it. My mom was mad too. She was like, "You ain't gonna get no more. You don't know. You
No.
might get married again." And then I was like,
So
"That's just because I get married don't mean it's my body. What the fuck is that?" Listen, I was getting hot. This is me. I have made my decision. I will consider it like if we talk to each other and something like that. But it's still either way for me, no. And like I said, for me too, it was big about just the fact that like I feel like even if I did have a husband there with me, I don't know that that would have made the experience any easier because you basically have to be up
it
every two,
didn't.
3 hours. And I was like, and you already know we got sleep
It didn't.
problems. And like I was ready to fight. I was like,
It
when
didn't.
will I get my sleep back? I hate this shit.
Right. It's
I
you
hate the
just
sleepy part. That
have
was the worst.
the
But my
having a
baby,
partner
he
is
cute.
not a guarantee that things get
Right.
easier. I promise
Sometimes that could be a whole nother. I was just about to say, because that's a whole nother thing that you gotta like balance and figure out. Like I got this
you.
new partner and a baby. And you know what I mean? Like, and we already got problems with trying to manage relationships and understanding that because we don't get enough education around like our sexuality, our relationships, how to relate to each other, and the fact that like humans are so different. So like my husband is very different than most men. And well, I won't say most men. I don't know most men. Let me over here stop talking shit.
Mm,
He's just different. But I'm saying he was different than the men that I had dated previously. And the reason why I know now is because he was neurodivergent. And so at the time, like when we went on the date, the first date or whatever, it did happen pretty fast. It was very impulsive. I can see
mhm.
the signs now. Literally, I had
Hindsight is
just talked to him the day before on like I think it was like Plenty of Fish or some joke like that. So like literally was like, I just talked to this guy, but I just see this thing about this event and I really want to go. Maybe he'll be down. And I told him and he was like, yes. I was like, okay, cool. We go out to eat. The whole time I'm like laughing and relaxing and everything. But I like it genuinely felt like for the first time I was being myself and not having to like be the girl that everybody like wanted me to be or to present myself as or like
mhm,
Tara the performer, Tara the singer, Tara the,
mhm,
that does all the things and says all the right thing. I didn't have to do that with him. And I tried to be that way with other men, but then I would largely just be like, well, you're very childish or you're very this, or you know what I mean? Like very like, and
mhm.
I don't got time for that, whatever. Um, we listen.
I
Once
haven't
you burn
found
the
that.
bridge.
I haven't found that, and I don't think I will, and I'm okay with that. Can I please?
Okay.
Okay, can we please talk? So eventually, we're going to have to talk about like on another show how dopamine is already very short lived, but like the idea of online dating makes the dopamine even shorter lived. Because like
Mm.
I could start and I'm like, okay, cool, talking to folks, and then I'm like, I'm over it. I really don't even want to talk to you. I really don't want to meet
Which
you.
is why that's what I'm saying. I feel like if my husband had waited any longer, it wouldn't have happened. First of all, I almost didn't continue dating him because I was finding reasons. I was like, he's different. I didn't know why or what it was, but I'm like, something about him is different. And I
It's not
told my
even
mom,
the
and she was like,
talking
"Well, what's wrong with
phase.
him?" And I was like, "I don't know. He just wears bow ties." And she was like, "Bow ties? I have nothing else." I was like, "I've seen a lot of bow tie pictures. I'm nervous." She was like,
You
"Girl, if
know,
you go out on another date with this boy." And I was like, "All right."
it's not the talking phase. I'm really not that interested. Like
Mm-hmm.
I really don't want nobody in my space.
And you know what? That's a piece too that I don't think we give enough credit to, because that's what I'm saying. Like even when I was writing this stuff or whatever, our little notes, there was a part that was like when women get to childbearing age, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, okay, listen, I get the sentiment, I understand, but at the same time, not every woman wants to bear children, and
Right.
that shouldn't be the defining factor of
Mhm.
their life. And like I felt like that was something even in Christianity that was like very much pushed, which is nuts because Jesus definitely didn't have nobody. He was out here solo dolo. Okay. And I'm
As far
like,
as we know,
why
as
wasn't,
far
and
as they
y'all over
tell
here
us.
talking about be like Jesus? And I'm like, well, maybe I am. Maybe that's why I ain't interested in all this extra stuff. But like with my husband, like I said, the only reason why I think we get along so well is because like we can body double. He do his
Mhm.
own thing, I do my own thing, and like that makes us happy. It's not because like he's into the stuff that I'm into or I'm into the stuff that he into. Like we genuinely are different, like very, very different, but
Mhm.
we accept each other's differences. So
That's
that's a
good.
different thing. But
So Billy says his friends told him to hold back on his neurodivergent state while dating. Man,
tell
sometimes
him,
be your own friends.
fuck that.
Um
Yeah.
we told his second wife so much on the first date, but waited to the third date to tell her that he's a D&D nerd, so Dungeons and
Oh no,
Dragons.
no, wait. What? Okay, listen,
Well,
the right chick will know. That's what I'm
right.
saying. The right chick will know.
Said
Man,
that she appreciated the upfront honesty and helped the relationship start on the right foot. Shout out to that.
man, that's dope. Look, I think that's another thing. Like when it comes to dating and stuff like that, that's
Mm-hmm.
something that as neurodivergent people, we just kind of try to pick up on by observing, especially when you look at like the comorbidities. So some people have autism and stuff like that, kind of adding to the flavor of how you're looking at, relationships and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And so for me, it was like even to the point of like gender and understanding all of that. And so like I think a lot of us are kind of experiencing this kind of changeover where
Mm-hmm.
we're kind of undoing a lot of that like thought process and stuff that was kind of peeled into us to be like, this is what a girl does and this is what a boy does and this is what blah, blah, blah.
No,
Because
this
like
is
even
what
when I
I
was
do.
younger, I legit used to wear like my brother's clothes. I would
Mm-hmm.
want to wear his like pants and then like wear my shirt, and then my mom would be like, I guess like this whatever. But I wanted to wear boys clothes. I didn't. It wasn't like a situation where I just felt like, okay, I wanted to be a boy. Or even I don't
Well,
know that I didn't want to be a boy, but I just didn't. I wanted to wear what the fuck I wanted to wear, and I just
right.
didn't understand why everybody was like, "Well, this is what." So I'm like, "Why?
Why?
Why?
This is not
Who
what.
said?"
So know what? So and so. This
And
is what
whoever
I
said it,
do.
they could come see me,
Right.
catch me outside. How about that? Okay, listen.
I just think about if you think about like stereotypes, gender roles, like the things that I know how to do is due to spending a good chunk of my life in a single parent household.
Mm,
Like the things I know how to do have very little to do with a gender role. It's very much I need to be able to take care of myself. Like if I know how to cook something, it's not because I'm a woman. It's because like a household full of women. Like someone's got to be able to cook something. We got to feed
yeah,
ourselves. Um,
yeah.
can I put something together? Yeah, I can give directions. It don't take much. Like I and plus I'm also like I'm not too scared to try to tinker with something. So like
Mm,
it's I don't know things that like the gender norms that are supposed to have like I don't like following those things mainly
mm-hmm.
because I was raised in the mindset of like these are things that I need to do to take care of myself, not so much of taking care of someone because
Somebody
I'm
else.
a woman. Yeah.
Or making them desire me more because I have these qualities or am able to perform these actions. And that unfortunately was the model that I saw. But at the same time, I think what changed it for me
Hmm.
was seeing that that shit didn't work. Like
Right.
it don't matter if you could cook and do all the things. If a motherfucker gonna sleep on you or do something crazy,
Thank
like that
you.
person is that person. It really
They
don't
gonna
have
do what they
nothing to
want
do
to
with
do.
that.
Right. Exactly.
That needs
Exactly.
to be addressed. And so that's the part that like I saw like for what it was. And
Hmm.
so yeah, I wasn't subscribing to it. I was just like, okay, I'm not understanding, and I challenged it. Luckily, I'm still very good relationship with both my parents, but at the same time, like they know, I'm very much challenging of like gender norms. My husband is the one that cooks in this house. I don't cook. I don't
My
want to.
dad's a cook.
It's
My dad will
not
cook.
my job.
Dad will
I'll
cook.
clean the house. That's my place. I like that. I don't mind cleaning the house because that's like then I could rage clean and get mad, and get that dirt,
I hate cleaning.
and
I
that's
hate
fine.
cleaning.
I need that sometimes.
I
But
find no joy in the act of cleaning. So like
yes,
I don't know.
I don't
So
either. But that's what I'm saying. I also feel like at the same time, I find that I'm more concerned about my space than
mhm,
other people are. So rather than make it their problem, I just
yeah,
will make it the way I like it. And then, just be like, y'all just maintain it or do your part and keep your stuff
right.
up. My son room is my son's room. We have helped him with organization as far as like making sure you have containers for things. There's lots of containers, but there's also a lot of labels,
Mhm.
so he knows, okay, this is where all my Legos are.
All
This is
my
where all
Dune
my army
boxes are
men are.
labeled.
Child, right. Because but I'm saying before I would always like be worrying myself about that kind of stuff because that is that like part. I don't know if that's a part of just a women's culture or also, part of like I think it's just the patriarchal
Mhm.
status in general, just that your house needs to be clean, your this needs to be that, or whatever. And like for a long time, that genuinely was following me around. And I was over here trying to like keep my house spotless and failing and like crying all the time. My husband was like, well, why are you doing it? Like nobody told you to do that. And I'm like, you got a point. I don't know why I'm
Yeah.
doing it. That's a good point. So it was stuff like that that just helped me to like push against those things because
Mhm.
for me it was very much embedded and I had felt, I had been sold the lie of like, well, if this is how you are a good wife, this is how you're a good mother. And
Mhm.
I'm grateful that my husband had already had the experience with neurodiversity enough to be like, no, we do what we want to do in this house because it's only me and you here, dude. Like, we don't got to do the way other people do it. It's fine. I'll cook. You can do whatever you want to do. Like, we
There you
work as a
go.
team. That is it.
I like it.
So,
I like partnerships.
yeah.
Goodness gracious. All right.
Same. Mhm.
So a quick little thing about treatment before we go into the third segment.
Yes.
So treatment's really important in this case. So and it's hard to
Woo.
take. So like when you're pregnant, so like with hormones, and particularly like when you're pregnant, it's hard to like your options with medication are very limited.
Mhm.
Um, so we have to find other
During the
ways to
actual
find the
pregnancy.
you're an extra practice.
Yeah.
Like so, but regardless of that, and it's particularly like when you're going through like these highs and lows, like it's really important to find treatment and not just with medication. We'll always talk about how like there's different forms of treatment for ADHD or being a neurodivergent because it's not just popping a Vyvanse in. Um,
Correct. You
it's
did. We're all diverse. The whole
we
point
are
of the word is neurodivergent, which means there's
yes,
variations that
right.
exist. And so you
So
have to find
because
out what works for you.
because number one, not all medication is going to work the same way for you. Number one,
That's true.
number two, medication might not work at all, or it might work, but it not might not make you feel the way you want to feel
Correct.
in the
Yes.
process. And so we have to look at
Or
other
have
ways
side
to
effects. Like
right,
one of my medications suppresses my appetite. And
yeah.
so for me, because I'm like already tiny, I don't need to be suppressing no darn appetite. I need to eat. Okay, man. So I gotta take
Uh,
medication to like counterbalance that.
right.
So stuff like that, yeah.
And so this is also where we talk about therapy and different types of therapy. So that's also not just a psychiatrist, maybe talking to a therapist, counselor. There's different types of therapies, especially dealing with executive dysfunction
Mhm.
that will help with that. Someone to help with the mood dysregulation, because that's a bitch.
Listen,
Look,
that part,
it's
because
a
baby,
bitch.
It's a lot. And that's why I'm like, even if too, even just enlisting like other people and ahead
Mm-hmm.
of time, like recognizing that, like, don't wait till you're at the stage of like, damn, I probably should have like prepared for this. Like, expect
Mm-hmm.
it, anticipate it, not in the sense of like anticipating it in a bad way, but just being like, I I just feel like, I can go ahead and be able to prepare by making sure like my mom is aware, or somebody is
Mm-hmm.
able to kind of come over and cook or have food ordered. Like, these are the times for you to do stuff like that. I know that we're typically, and like I said, I'm not making these recommendations from a place of not understanding. Trust me, babies are expensive, as they are, especially when they're like tiny, because you got to worry about diapers and all that crap, right? But if you can, like, I think that that might be like a place where, like, as a neurodivergent, maybe instead of like doing a baby shower traditionally, where you're just like, okay, give me all the things or give me some money, because we like money so we can spend it. But it just be like, you know what? How about you order my delivery food for a while, or like make sure, like, I need stuff like that to be able to, or have somebody come by my house and clean it every like once a week or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that genuinely would be a better gift, I think, than some of the shit that I got. But that's all right. God bless everybody that sent me something. I ain't talking trash, but I'm just saying, for me too, because I had my baby in Texas, but I had gotten pregnant in Florida. So in Florida I had a baby shower there, but then it was like I couldn't really have like a real baby shower, because like, who gonna take all that stuff to Texas? Who gonna shift all of that
Right.
anywhere? So there's a lot of like cards and stuff like that. But then that's my baby also had like tons of clothes, because somebody had just given us. I worked at an after school care program, actually,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of the students and stuff donated like clothes that had never been worn before, just like,
Wow.
and
Mm-hmm.
like name brand. So I legit didn't have to buy him clothes till he was like, I don't even know, like, he was pretty old by the time,
Right.
like, by the time we actually bought him clothes. But
And
yeah,
low key, you really don't want to go anywhere anyway. So, like, well,
exactly.
depending on what
Listen,
type of year it is, you might as well keep him in a diaper and call it a day.
that part, right?
Good.
And it's too much, too
Yeah.
much. Outside, you already like, look, I got to deal with this crazy emotions, the hormone balance, and it is found that like ADHDers tend to have proclivity towards postpartum depression, specifically
Mm.
because of that imbalance.
Mm.
And so, if you are aware
I
of it,
say so
you don't
much
have to
now.
just like be like, I didn't know, and no, we telling you right now, you don't gotta suffer no more.
I wish someone would have told. I wish I had known. Dang, I'm
Right?
like 9 years too late.
Man,
Damn.
me too. Listen, me
Yeah.
too. I would definitely go back and do that over. I
Oh my
don't know that I
goodness.
would have did it that way.
Right.
Man,
Yikes. Ugh, man.
for real.
Oh man. So our third segment, y'all,
Yes. We have
is
made
A,
it.
existing as liberated black neurodivergent women. And it's
Yes.
hard out in these streets, y'all. It's hard in these
Yeah.
streets.
I mean, it's hard because of like where we are in society and all of that, but I
Hmm.
also am what's the word? Encouraged
Yeah.
by a lot of the changes that are taking place these days. I also am like optimistic, but cautiously, because
Yeah.
how it can be. This stuff is
Hmm.
very temperamental. But I also feel like something I read by Bell Hooks that I wanted to quote today,
Yeah.
that I think is helpful for us. It just said, we really shouldn't be focused on trying to like worry about changing people's perspectives all the time. It's more about moving towards creating new structures that challenge what is considered normal. And so, like, for a long time, I was very much like, well, ADHD is normal. And like, yes, it is normal. I do
Hmm.
feel like it is something that we need to accept as like a normal human existence. But it's not normal in the sense of like it being just the same old same. It is different.
You can't
Um,
just say we're all a little ADHD. No, no, no.
right. That is
That's not it.
ignorant. And like I said, and just kind of challenging a lot of these things that we're told this is what it is. So like even
Hmm.
ADHD, if I never would have challenged that, I never would have even thought that like, oh, it shows up differently in
Yeah.
women than it does in men. And then on top of that, add on like all the other intersections, of being black, being a female, being dark skin, all these different
Hmm.
things can really, really add to it. And so, understanding that I think is so important, because that genuinely gives you a better perspective of like who you are at your core.
Right.
And then that helps you to challenge some of these ignorant stances when people do say stuff like, everybody got a little bit of ADHD, but do you really know what ADHD is? So everybody has executive dysfunction. So everybody has a dopamine deficiency. Everybody's got that. I don't
Right.
think everybody's got that.
You know, if that's true, then hey, where's the help? Where's the help, y'all?
So
Because
exactly.
obviously it's not like because the world's not meant the world is not built. Society is not built for neurodivergent brains.
Correct. And
They
not black
benefit from it.
neurodivergent
No,
brains
they
at that.
benefited from it in a way, but at its core, society is not built for our brains.
Correct. And it's like, but if we understand that, like, that genuinely is not something, like I said, I'm trying to hone in on the piece that Bell Hooks said about, like, we can't change other people's perspectives necessarily. All we can
Mhm.
do is offer up, alternative views. And I think that that's where our little neurodivergent brains come in. That's something that is a general consensus, that we think differently, that we challenge thoughts, and that we challenge ways of thinking and ways of being and ways of existing in the world. And so,
Right.
um, continue to do that, but also, being mindful of things like my emotional dysregulation. So I know, okay, when I feel myself getting real antsy, maybe I need to take a deep breath. Maybe I need to
Right.
check in with me again, just to make sure, okay, what is this that's causing this trigger? And make sure that I'm safe, and make sure that I'm taking care of myself in the conversation. Because it's easy to just be like, you know what, I'm trying to convince this person or trying to change the world, and get overwhelmed with that. And that genuinely did cause me some trauma recently, just in terms of like all this stuff happening. But now that I've had a chance to kind of talk to a therapist and work through that a bit, it's been helpful. Just let me share this experience, and I swear we're gonna go. But and before we do that, is there something you want to say, Ricky Z? Because I don't want to. This is about to be a little story, but I want to make sure I'm not
Oh, so
overstepping
if
it.
you're watching on Twitch and Facebook, make sure you click on the links for our link trees.
Please.
So we each have our own link trees, and there's also one for ADHD and Black, with Sarah, mine for UZ, and there's also one for Black Girls HyperFocus.
Yes.
Make sure you subscribe to all the things that we are in. We have an
Yes.
Instagram account, we have a Facebook account, we have a TikTok,
All the things.
Twitch, YouTube
Facebook
channel,
group.
Facebook
Facebook group.
group, join the hype crew.
Yeah.
Also, this organization or this show is a component of ADHD in Black, which is the not only the podcast that Tara will be starting soon, but it's also an organization that we're building right now for Black neurodivergent community.
That's
And
right.
so, in order for us to be able to provide resources and information, we gonna need some funds. So you find it in your heart to be able to support us,
Yes.
either financially or even just want to be a part of the organization itself, because we do need help.
Support.
It takes
Mhm.
it, yes, it's really just the three of us, me, Tara, and Zay. Shout out to Zay. We miss
Yes.
you. We hope you're
We know
feeling
you
better
sick.
soon.
We hope you feel
Yes.
better. Yeah.
We hope you feel better really soon.
Yes.
So it's real. We need help.
We miss you.
We also want more people to be involved. Like, this is a community, this is an
That's right.
organization. So like, if you are, actually I should have put the email in here. But
Yes.
anyways, if you want to help out, or you're interested in helping out, make sure you just follow our email. So it's at bghyperfocus at adhdandblack.com. I'm about to put this in the comments now. So go
Yes.
ahead,
Yes.
Sarah.
Yes. Yeah, so I had asked for a therapist, and initially I told them I wanted a person of color, but they, for some reason, got it messed up and set me up with somebody who wasn't a person of color. And I went ahead and, just went into the conversation because I was having a hard day anyway, and just kind of wanted to have somebody to talk to and process. I thought I had done a fairly good job of trying to make sure, this person was like capable of handling it. But either way, I'm living and learning. I asked her, so she had like 30 years of experience. She claimed she was trauma informed and culturally aware and all this stuff. But then as I like start telling her about my experience and how angry I've been just about different things and my emotions and all that, she very much was like, well, it is a pandemic and you just need to give yourself grace. And, um, everybody is experiencing trouble right now, whether you're, black, blue, purple. I was like, bitch, who is purple and blue? What did you talk? Okay. So it's just stuff like that that I was just like,
All
okay, not
trauma matters.
understanding.
All trauma
All
matters.
trauma matters. And I just felt like she was not hearing me. She was not listening to me. And so rather than waste any more of my energy in that way, I just called them back up and said, I asked for a person of color and I would like to be reassigned to somebody of color. And they did not give me a hard time. I did go ahead and get reassigned, and I talked to her today and, shared my experience with her about what happened with the lady. And she very much was like, um, I'm just, hearing from you and understanding that the thing that I noticed the difference between those two was the wonderful lady. Amen. She very much wanted me to stop being mad. And so she was like, breathe, take a deep breath, calm down, all this stuff, right? Whereas the black lady was like, I'm recognizing that you're angry, but I also recognize that what you are angry at is valid. And so she validated my feelings. And then that actually calmed me down a lot more than me trying to force myself to breathe when I really wanted to choke this bitch. Cause
That's
the
de-escalation
strap.
101, honestly.
But for real, but I feel like that's that part of like rage that is like, okay, we are always the ones that have to choke it down. We're the ones that have to like keep it down. Don't let that shit out. Don't let nobody, and don't let nobody see you bad or see you sweat or all this other stuff. Like, no, I'm emotional. I have feelings. I get sad. I get happy. I get really angry. I get scared sometimes. I have all this range of emotions because that's my humanity. And I will not let you or anybody else take away that from me, which I don't think any of us like should have to experience. Like, we all want that, to just be able to show up as ourselves and be accepted. But even when we aren't, I think the thing that's important, the way that I was able to pivot from that situation and not internalize her, not listening to me or not like hearing me out or trying to validate my feelings, was, what, I accept that that's who she is and that she has some work she needs to do. I think that's the piece that, as truly liberated Black neurodivergent female minds, is like, we are embracing who we are. We're embracing all of what that looks like. And we're not going to dumb that down or dull it down for anybody because they refuse to do the work of actually understanding our perspective or understanding our stories, because it's something that we have to do, not because we want to, but because we exist in the world the way that we do. And you created the system. Like, this is not, we didn't ask for this shit. Like, I didn't sign up for nothing.
Right.
Would have been nice to be in on it, but
Right.
that didn't happen. So my way of fighting back to that is to be like, no, I stand up for myself. I didn't take that in. I heard what she said and was just like, this is a learning lesson for you. And I very much told her about herself. I was like, I need you to understand that you're the one that actually needs to do some mental health wellness, because in the end, the fact that white people find Black people harmful by nothing more than just their skin color, that seems threatening to them. That is unrealistic anxiety. That's a delusion. And so if you are delusional, there are medications for that. There are therapies for that. There are things, but we don't need to be subject to your lack of mental health care. And it shouldn't be my existential drama because you refuse to deal with your shit. And I feel like that's where we at on society. Deal with your shit. Stop trying to make it Black people shit. Black people been taking care of their stuff. We don't go around here just killing people for no reason. But there is a long history of white people just doing that. And so we don't acknowledge that piece. I think that's what we as truly Black liberated people have to do, is like, I live in truth, regardless of how uncomfortable it makes you. I'm sorry, I get the preacher, y'all. Hey, my mind. So just go ahead and pass the bucket. Drop 2 quarts. I'm just playing. All good. No, I'm genuinely
A couple,
enjoying myself.
a little more than 2 coins. Just drop a
Okay,
few more coins.
drop a little something in there. In the
Some
bucket.
bills, and like,
we got a building fund. No,
green bills.
not a building fund. Help. Listen, the struggle.
For the new not the new chapel, but the new parish hall.
The new parish hall.
Right. Community center.
So as we are getting ready to close on out, though, we want to make sure that we let you guys know our next show is actually going to be June 22nd, not next week. We're actually looking to change the schedule up a little bit, and we're going to be doing every other week because, to be honest, we have ADHD and we for real need that break. So, acknowledging our humanity, amen. But we do our best work when we do that, right?
Also, I'm going on
So,
vacation, so
amen. That's a hey out. So,
I'm going on
also,
vacation.
we'll be doing a self care Saturday inside of the Facebook group, and that one is going to be on June 18th. And so, if you would like to be a part of that, please make sure that you go join our Facebook group. It doesn't matter if you are a black girl, black boy, if you're a black girl, if you're a black boy, if you're a black whoever, if you black, do your
Do your
thing.
thing.
Okay, show up in that group.
Right.
For real. But those are exclusives that we're only doing for that group. So make sure if you want to come to our self-care Saturday that you show up in there. And thank you, Billy, for hanging out with us today, man. You are
Yes.
so active. I love it. Love it.
Thanks, Billy.
Every
We love
time.
Billy. Every time.
Every time.
Love Billy. All right. So, if you haven't checked it out yet, so if you're on Twitch and Facebook, the links to all the link trees, like all the link trees,
Yes.
Black Girls HyperFocus, my link tree, Tara's link
Yes.
tree. Check them out. Support us. You can. Well, actually, no. Geeking out, taking a break. So,
Yep.
look. So, like,
But they'll be back.
They'll be
When
back.
y'all coming back?
We'll be coming back in like August. We're taking the
Okay.
summer off.
Oh, y'all taking a
but
real break. Look.
no, we're taking a real break.
That's all right, because that's when you could jump into Black Girls HyperFocus.
Yes, and
Get a
then
little time. I see what it
look,
is.
but we
Right.
will be. I think we plan on doing some other things during the summer because like there's too many things to geek out over the summer. Like Miss Marvel just came out today on Disney Plus, so
Gotcha.
like I
Miss
might have to.
Marvel?
Yeah, Miss Marvel.
Mm.
Oh
What's
yeah,
that supposed to be about?
no. So there's Captain Marvel.
Right.
Um,
So she's
Carol
like the
Danvers.
female
Yeah,
version?
so no, because they're both female. So Captain Marvel in the MCU is in the MCU is Carol Danvers. Now Miss Marvel is Kamala. So this Southeast Asian Muslim girl, yes, Muslim
Dope.
female teenage superhero. And so like
Dope. Dope.
she
Dope.
really looks up to Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel.
Hmm.
And so like she's got some power. So like that started today.
That's dope, man. I'm gonna have to get my daughter on that one. She likes a lot of like superhero stuff, so I know
Yeah.
she'll be down for that.
There's lots of things that are happening this summer that we're gonna have to eventually talk about. We're gonna have to just come out of retirement for the summer and just
Well,
hop on.
do some bonus episodes. Do some
Oh yeah,
bonus and
actually that
drop
might
them.
have to be that might have to be the thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
man.
Look, you ready?
Yeah, man.
All right. So, thank you so much, y'all, for
Yes.
joining us tonight. Like we said, make sure you join us. Subscribe, like us on Facebook.
Please.
Check out the Facebook group. Follow us on YouTube as well. We'll post the episode later. Make sure y'all take care of yourselves.
Yeah, man. Self-care is the best form of resistance that you could do as a Black person specifically, because they'll kill you physically or mentally. So take that time.
Yes.
Nobody's gonna give it to you but you.
Look, I haven't even used any of my gifts today.
Right,
Like,
child? We had all these extra gifts. That's so funny. Look, we're just gonna do a flash through real quick.
Yeah, you're going. Y'all. Oh, I did Patrick though.
Man.
Y'all gonna get these gifts, y'all. Look, y'all gonna get these gifts.
Come
y'all.
Come
Look,
on.
this is my favorite one.
Yes, procrastination.
Yes. All right. Look. So yeah. So thank y'all for joining us tonight.
Yes.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
2 weeks on the 22nd. Look, that's easy to remember. 2 weeks, 22nd. Come on,
Yeah,
2, 2, 2, 2. All the 2s.
Right. Yes. All right. So that's it for tonight, y'all.
Peace out.
Bye,
8 time
y'all.
down.
Right. Yep. Bye, y'all. Good night.
Bye.